Hi, everybody. This is Dan Stolbarger. Happy 4th of July. We're going to take a look at the Middle East, however, backwards. We're going to take a look back and see the different events that have transpired over this week. I've sort of tried to hold off as long as I can because we're still waiting about the response of Hamas to this proposed ceasefire, and I was hoping their response would come sooner than later, but I'm sure they're loving the attention at this point in time. But this is our Middle East update, again, the week of July 4th, looking back, and we always sort of begin with our news bites. Let me step over on this side now. On Monday, all eyes are going to be on President Trump as well as Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu as he arrives in Washington for what will be their third meeting since Trump has taken office, his third visit. Not 100% sure what to expect through this. I'm sure that Trump would love to be able to announce a ceasefire with Hamas. I know he wants to be the president who ends wars, but we'll have to still wait and see concerning all of that. Interesting that the leaders, Hamas leaders, are in Doha, and they've been told to lay down their weapons by Qatar and other Muslim countries as a symbolic end, and we'll have to wait and see whether they follow through with that. I'm not optimistic, and if they do, I honestly believe it's just a symbolic gesture. I do not think the IDF will be collecting their weapons. Kind of the heartbeat in Israel is simply that there's no doubt there's a sense that Israel owes Trump, but the truth is that cannot mean that Hamas can survive. And so however this is postured, however it's spun or whatever, there needs to be the sense that Hamas has been defeated. The U.S. military airstrikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities, it's coming to light more and more that it has delayed Iran's nuclear capabilities probably for up to 2 years. And that's according to a Pentagon assessment. And then there's some concern that this ceasefire that we're waiting on could possibly topple Netanyahu's government, primarily because of the hawks on the right demanding the total defeat of Hamas. So as I said before, if somehow this comes across as allowing Hamas to just fill in the blanks, stick their heads out of their tunnels or whatever and assume some sort of leadership once again, that could be the end of Bibi's government. And the question is how much longer does Bibi want to continue? And after reading his book, I know what he wants his legacy to be. And I believe that if he accomplishes some sort of defeat of Hamas because of what's taken place in Iran, I think the only thing sort of that's left is this judicial reform. I think he would be happy to, I know my Israeli friends are probably shaking their heads dramatically no at this point in time, but it seems like that's why he came back, that's why he ran, and if these things are accomplished, I'm not sure he wouldn't mind riding off into the sunset in a sense. Saudi Arabia, interesting, has come out supporting Israel's goal of banishing Hamas from Gaza's leadership. In fact, they basically say it's a precondition that Israel finalizes, banishes Hamas from any sort of leadership in Gaza as a precondition for their normalization talks. Interesting. All right, that's our news bites. We'll take a look at our major articles this week. From our friends at the Palestinian Media Watch. And I think this is crucial to understand for all of you, myself included, Westerners, because the mindset is totally different between the Middle East as well as from the sort of Western side of things. So, Palestinian Media Watch, a Palestinian Authority school, had its first graders perform a skit, and of course this skit portrays the IDF, Israeli soldiers, as what? Murdering Palestinian laborers who come to work into Israel. The skit then shows the IDF killing the workers, covering their bodies, and then carrying them away. Palestinian Media Watch has reported that this sort of demonizing of Israelis and Jews as subhumans, as monsters and cold-blooded killers, that's the standard. That's the standard of the Palestinian authorities. And remember, they're supposed to be the moderate ones. But the children's education and textbooks for decades, this is the snapshot. These are the skits. These are first graders. And so let me simply say this. Until the textbooks are changed, there'll be no real hope for peace in the Middle East. And then truth. As best as we can see with Iran, keep in mind, because of what's happened, the 12-day war, and because of what America has done in bombing these facilities, the next morning, Iran did not wake up and say, oh, let's just make peace. No. This legacy of hate is inbred. It's time to rearm, and that's exactly what's going to take place. Make no mistake, make no doubt about that. Iran is recovering, and they are going to race for the bomb once again. And so, again, an article out of Israel says, despite the heavy blow it suffered in the 12-day war, Iran is not abandoning their nuclear program. According to security sources, Tehran is already working to restore the enrichment facilities. I know Trump has gone on record saying, you restore them, I'm going to bomb them again. But the truth is, once again, the race is back on. And this comes from the Jewish Center for Foreign Affairs. So again, I just want to emphasize, and it's going to be the same thing in Gaza if Hamas is not totally taken out whatsoever. It just becomes a period of rearming and waiting for the next opportunity to strike. It was a substantial event. The head of the octopus was wounded, but not mortally. Just keep that in mind. This ain't over. And then the ceasefire proposal that's been put out, I've given you what I've read up to this time. And again, we don't know if Hamas is going to accept. And even if they accept, we're not sure the implementation and how they will honor it. But this is what we're looking at. It's a 60-day ceasefire. The framework looks like this. Day one, 8 living hostages will be released. The IDF then will begin to withdraw from northern Gaza. On day 7, there'll be a transfer of 5 bodies. Keep in mind, there's 20 thought to be alive hostages, a total of 50 altogether, 30 corpses. So the 5 bodies are corpses that will be returned to Israel on day 7. On day 10, Hamas is to provide information and medical evidence on the remaining hostage status. Again, that would be, if my math is correct, that's going to be what? 12 of them. And then Israel will share information on the Palestinians that were arrested since October 7th. On day 30, a transfer of 5 additional bodies. I have to stress, corpses. And then on day 50, the release of 2 more living hostages. And then on the day 60, that's the 60-day ceasefire, the transfer of 8 more bodies. So that's what's on the table. Israel has agreed to this, and as I've mentioned, are waiting for Hamas's response. Now, Amir CdA, our good friend, has been with us over the last 2-3 days, and so when I looked on his Telegram page, I wanted to give you his thoughts, because keep in mind, Israel is being torn apart with this whole issue of the hostages. So this is what Amir posted on his Telegram page. Although Netanyahu's red line has always been to never agree to end the war before Hamas is completely defeated, disarmed, and dismantled, each time a ceasefire is reached due to a new hostage deal, Hamas does what? It regroups, it restocks, and it booby-tracks the areas in which the IDF has withdrawn. This, of course, costs the lives of more IDF soldiers once the fighting remains. Amir's words, I am categorically against these deals and calling for a complete siege on Hamas until it surrenders. It's time to end this war, not prolong it. Without a firm and decisive victory that can only be achieved by relocating the Gazans, occupying the territory, and building Jewish settlements instead. What happened on October 7th cannot and should not ever happen again. And I would say that's the sentiment of many Israelis in this day. And I'm not sure, I know they're war weary. I know that the percentages are probably 60 to 70%. Get this over, let's finish this, bring them home now. And I think that's why it's so critical to see Trump step into this and what the optics will be. And then just to give you a kind of a report on the weekend for us. We were blessed to be able to host Amir 2 nights, because the first night sold out for us here, and there was an uproar amongst people that in the Pacific Northwest that were unable to get tickets, so we did open a second night as well. So I've given you a short video, and we had the privilege and joy of hosting an evening of Bible prophecy. The last chapter was the topic that was given on both nights, and we had over 1,000 people standing with Israel from the Pacific Northwest, standing with Israel for such a time as this. So it was joyful, and we were able to say our goodbyes and then sort of move on. And this next slide, by the way, I failed to mention in the beginning, make sure you grab the PDF PowerPoint, because it has all the slides that I'm referring to and usually a lot more information. So this is Amir the second night. We had over 400 people at the altar, and we're so grateful for both Lake City Church as well as the altar for allowing Holy Ground to host this event in their facilities. So thank you once again. And so that wraps it up. A couple other slides. It's the 4th of July. I thought I'd show you what Benjamin Netanyahu has sent to President Trump. A happy 4th of July. Deepest appreciation, your friend, Bibi Netanyahu. And then the IDF sent this. The IDF would like to wish our partners in the U.S. a happy Independence Day. And so we're going to move on and again ask you to be remembering Israel in your prayers at this particular time, this crucial juncture of what's going on. And just a reminder, we are heading to Israel. Our next tour, which will be our last official Holy Ground tour, we call it The Land, the People, and the King. And it will be from October 30th to November 9th. Let me tell you right now, we want to cap this trip. We don't want it to be large numbers whatsoever. And I think as I record right now, we probably have 3 to 4 seats left. So Israel does not need tourists at this time, but they definitely need friends. And this trip seeks to give you the experience of not just the land, and it is amazing, there's no doubt about it, but we want you to mingle, communicate, have conversations, hopefully build friendships with the people of Israel today. And then, obviously, we will worship our King in the land. So, the land, the people, the King, October 30th through November 9th. All the information is on our website at holygroundexplorations.com. With that, God bless you, shalom, and once again, happy 4th.